We have a Fairmined challenge panel next, which is really going to be fun to watch. And it's going to be moderated by Melissa Quick, the president and one of the owners of Steve Quick Jeweler here in Chicago. And Melissa's going to introduce her panelists, but I think there's a quick Fairmined challenge video to watch first. So Ming, if you could cue that, and then Melissa will take it from there.
So the Fairmined challenge was about getting at least 100 collections made of Fairmined metals. We are really happy that instead of 100, we actually get 127 collections made of Fairmined gold and Fairmined silver, and also gold-plated piece. We also were really happy to have 97 brands participating, and most of them actually were new brands starting to work with Fairmined. So I'm really excited. And well, you will see it with the slideshows because we will see all the collections received during the challenge. It was a very creative challenge, lots of styles, colors, really an impressive moment of creativity. So, well, thank you for the participants, especially those who are here. They have been doing such a great job, so enjoy.
What we'll do, we'll get the video that was supposed to be here loaded up on a virtual site, so you'll all be able to see it there, so you won't miss out.
All right, I guess we'll get right to it. So today in the panel we have 3 designers who participated in the Fairmined Gold Challenge. And they're here, number one, to give us a nice light start to the morning. And of course, we want to learn a little bit more about their inspirations, what being responsible means to them, and how they got started on this path. So I have my panelists today. First, next to me, I have Will Nevins-Alderfer. Yay! Next to him, we have Alisa Thorpe. And finally, at the end, we have Shabana Lakdawala. Sorry, I should say that Will is of WR Metal Arts, Alisa is of Mercurius Jewelry, and Shabana is, her business is her namesake, Lakdawala. So those of you who have seen me moderate a panel of designers at this conference before know that I like to sort of start off with this question to see what gets everybody, like what makes them tick, what's their why. And I think it lays a foundation and shows the ethos of what stands behind their brands. So I'm going to ask each of you to sort of tell us, because it means something different to everybody, but what does being responsible mean to you?
I can start. Responsible to me, I guess it started with transparency, because that's how you can validate your claims, or one way you can validate your claims. But more and more recently, and yesterday especially, I realized how important connection is to that as well. And it was like to kind of live together, I think. But then more than that, I'm realizing there's also this element that keeps coming up for me, and that's more to access. And that's access to information, access to space, access to market. So I'm still working on how to continue to bring that into the responsible lens, and how to keep creating space for access for different folks that don't have it. I'm not sure how that all fits out or fits together, but there's an undercurrent of a holistic approach too, so not just to have those elements in one aspect of your sourcing, but to really have, actually having a holistic approach to that as well, to the business and to my life. So it's in all the different pieces from packaging to diamonds to gold to everything. And that's the important part, but also the challenge of how to have those ripple effects everywhere.
Great.
It's such a big question, and when I first heard it, I felt, when we talked about it earlier, I felt very nervous. I can't answer that. And then I realized I think about this all the time. It's like the only thing that I do think about is what is the why of our business and the purpose
for the work that we do. And I think that responsibility to me has to do with impact. The impact from the very beginning to the very end of your piece, and also the impact that your business makes on your community, whether that's your local community or the industry as a whole, as a community. So it can involve everything from, thinking about where do the materials come from, who was involved with them, what impact does that have on their lives, all the way through to the production and how that's made, to the impact of working with the client, the meaning for them in their life, the integrity that you bring to that interaction, and the impact that you can make when you have a successful business, to be able to support your family, to lead a good and healthy life, and then be able to share, as you are successful, the more successful you are, the more you can share and offer to your community, and that's my view.
Hello. So for us at Lakdawala, responsibility is meeting our values with action, and that's saying, if we're saying we're a sustainable brand, then how are we meeting that sustainability? If we want to be conflict-free, how are we meeting that, that aspect of our business? And so it's about asking a lot of questions, digging deep. All of the people and partners we work with, we consider them partners, whether it's Fairmined, whether it's our packaging suppliers, and saying, making sure that what matters to them is also aligned with our values. And so it's about creating every aspect of our business is a force for good. Whether it's the packaging, for example, when we started our business, the first thing we worked on was our packaging, because we know a lot of jewelry comes in boxes, and that box has a little box inside, and I understand it has a purpose, but we wanted to kind of bring that down into one element. And so we worked with someone in India who creates organic textiles, and she worked with us on how to create something that won't scratch the jewelry but will protect it during shipment, and it can also be used for storage. So she employs women in India that are able to work for them from their homes and also provide for their families without having to go out into the workforce. So that's what it means to us, that's being responsible, is supporting those that also support our values.
Love it, thank you. I always think that it's great to hear people's perspectives, because for each of us, it is something really different. And thank you so much for sharing that, because I think it gives us all more insight into, what comes next, which is participating or deciding to participate in something like the Fairmined Gold Challenge. So taking that to the next step, if each of you could touch on what inspired you or led you down this path to become Fairmined licensed, because that's sort of the first step. So what was that inspiration or that light bulb moment where you were like, oh, I think I need to do this?
Same order, if you want to switch. I think for me, it was actually attending this conference last year, and watching River of Gold and reading Dirty Gold and hearing about that, and we were 100% recycled early on, and the more and more I learned about and heard more stories, the more it was like, I need to have more impact. And I think business can be powerful for that, as like a social change agent, if done correctly, because you can make decisions much faster in government or nonprofits, because you just like, I'm going to source here instead, and then you have a huge impact on a lot of people. So that was one of the reasons why we joined Fairmined, and decided to have collections to support it as well.
Great.
My husband Dave and I were talking this morning, and neither of us can exactly remember when we first heard of Fairmined, which is kind of funny, but we do remember when we first realized that it would be possible to get certified. For us, sourcing is a process. It's like a moving target, and so I'm never going to say, this is the way we source and we're done. We're always continuing to look at what all the factors. And at this time, or still today, when we first heard of Fairmined, the Fairmined certification system is, that I know of, the most thorough and the gold standard. It's the gold standard in gold. And so it was just a no-brainer to adopt that.
So to answer this question, I wanted to share a little story. When we started out, we knew about Fairmined Gold. We had heard of it, researched online, but we thought that it would be too expensive, too difficult for us to, as a small business, use Fairmined Gold. So we started working with the manufacturer in New York, and we built a relationship with them, working for 9 months, R&D, sampling, and we said we would start with recycled gold because we felt that was still a more sustainable option. And at the end of 9 months, they decided to do some restructuring in their business, and we got an email saying, your account will be closed. We're only working with established businesses at this time. So we tried to fight it for a while and say, hey, we're ready to place a production order, we've built this relationship, don't cut us off right now. And so that relationship ended, and we kind of had to start from scratch again. And that was kind of in the thick of when COVID was starting. So we took that step back at the time as redirection, and we started looking into new manufacturers. And those 2 manufacturers that we found at the time were both working with Fairmined Gold. At the same time, my brother-in-law was taking a marketing class, and he used Lakdawala as his case study. Through that class, he asked us very difficult questions, and one of the things that's very integral to us is source. So he was like, so can you trace back where the recycled gold comes from, even if it's conflict-free certified? And we said, I don't think we can. Like when we dug deeper, we weren't finding the answers that we wanted. That was the moment we knew we needed to work with Fairmined Gold, because it really answered all of the concerns and questions we had about gold and mining.
I love it. And so you came to it as a circumstances led you in that direction, but it ended up what you wanted all along. You just had somebody who sort of forced your hand, and you had to make a business decision.
Yes.
But what a great business decision, for sure. And it absolutely, for all of you, sets you apart. So we've been sitting here all day yesterday and hearing about these really big, deep issues. And, they're gut-wrenching, and you see these things, and it's heartbreaking, and it can be so overwhelming. And sometimes it's really hard to know where to start. But all of these artists found a place to start, and they actually did something, which was getting Fairmined licensed, and then on top of it, a follow-up of making a collection for this challenge. So I'm wondering if you could tell us what that process looked like, because all 3 of you were brave enough to take that first step, and I'd like for you to tell us all that it's actually doable. It is, obviously.
So you say brave enough, but it's actually much easier than we thought it was. Part of our delay in becoming licensed initially is it sounded very official. It sounded like it would be a grueling process, and a lot of the talk in ethical circles is about Fairmined is so expensive, but there's some kind of cost barrier to entry to being Fairmined certified and offering Fairmined Gold. And we're a very small business, and we were focused before the pandemic entirely on custom jewelry. And we thought, should we do this? We want to do it. We could then offer to our custom clients if they want it, if they're willing to do it. And then I found out, I don't want to give the wrong fee, but there's a very reasonable yearly registration fee.
$60 US.
Yeah, $60 US.
Per year.
When I actually started looking, I thought, $60 US and a pretty reasonable application, which they give you a lot of help through if you have any questions. I couldn't believe that it had taken so long to actually follow through and do it. So it's a painless process. And then what ended up happening was we transitioned our business to offering collections, producing collections, not doing quite as much custom, still a lot of custom. And when we decided, okay, for our custom clients, we'll give them the choice between the recycled gold we've been using or Fairmined, and we'll do all of our own work in Fairmined gold. And pretty quickly, I'd say within 6 months after starting, we just transitioned entirely to Fairmined. And so our custom clients, whether they want to talk about it or whether they ask for it or they ask about it or whether they really, aren't thinking too much about it, that is what their jewelry is made of, and that's what we use.
So for us, the process was just like Alisa. Again, we thought it would be one of the most difficult parts of our business, also because we had started working with recycled, and then we were shifting very late into our business, beginning to Fairmined. I think it was a 2-week process for us. Very easy application. Morgan was our first point of contact at Fairmined, and she made it very easy. Everything we needed to submit, all done through email, and there we were on the map, a licensed brand. So it is very doable, very affordable, and what I love about Fairmined is that audit and tracking process. Every time we have a transaction of Fairmined gold, we have to submit it through the Connect portal. And again, that speaks to the traceability, right? How are they tracking what's actually happening? So we get to see that as a business, and it just makes it all the more real.
I had a similar experience, where it seemed like a huge challenge to get incorporated or become a licensed brand, but then once you dive into that paperwork, it's not as daunting as it seemed at first. For me, it was more how to switch the operations of everything, of like, we can't just go to Dumers, we can't go to Dumers Strong, but just all the systems we had built already had to be tweaked. And we were also limited by access to what Fairmined materials we could get. So I think that was the largest challenge of how to offer everything in Fairmined. It's like, oh, I can't find rose gold, Fairmined, I can't find palladium white. So then over the past year, we kind of, we still need to start, this still is important. We want to vote with our dollars for this and make it more accessible, so it brings in that accessibility piece I mentioned. And then so I had the crazy thought after hanging out with some folks here at Tucson, like, why don't we just do it in-house? So that's when we started building the processes, at least the foundation, to be like, we can just make our own alloy. So now we partner with Mercurius to make rose gold, Fairmined, and palladium white. And we also were able to find Fairmined silver, so we use that in the alloy as well. And Dave makes alloy for us, which is awesome. Thank you, Dave. But it's just a really cool thing, like having a challenge and then being like, can this be fixed? And can we change it and tweak it? And for me, that's the exciting part of both the trying to bring more access to these materials to more amazing jewelers, and then also the kind of being in the front of the first market for it is also exciting. It's like, I think it speaks to that business sustainability piece too, that we all as businesses also need to think about how to support our employees, how do we be successful so we continue taking on more risk and challenges.
See, something's doable, actionable, doable, seems daunting at the front end, but we navigated your way through it and were pleasantly surprised. And it's so great to hear anything that'll be useful for people who are sort of wondering maybe what they could do next, because I'm always sitting in this room feeling overwhelmed and always seeming like these big issues, and where do you start? And I think Christina said yesterday, baby steps, that's where you start. So thank you for sharing that process with us, because I was surprised when you told me how painless it was. So I think that's really great. I think this is sort of the point where we're going to take this full circle and bring it back around to being responsible. But Tell me each a little bit about what Fairmined means to you and why you're passionate about it, and like what makes you feel good about making this decision and making these changes you made. Am I putting you on the spot here? I think you sort of summed it up, but if there's anything else you feel like you need to add to that, otherwise we'll move on. You guys are good? Okay. One of the things, Alisa, that you mentioned to me on a talk when we were talking the other day was how this challenge made you feel connected to other micro brands, and that you had a sense of community with this. Do you want to talk more on that a little bit?
Yeah, and I think it ties in with what Will was saying about this alloy, the availability of the alloys. When part of what was easy with our transition is that we do everything in-house. So we buy 24 karat grain, and Dave makes the alloys, we do all our casting in-house. So some of the challenges that other brands have had with accessibility or accessing the various pieces or components of the production process were not an issue for us. And so I've only started to learn about the challenges with finding casters and finding alloys by making connections with other Fairmined licensed brands. And like, I love that we came up with the solution and we're talking about how to share that more with others. And I hear from a lot of people that are looking for a caster. Every time you meet another Fairmined licensed brand, do you know anyone who does Fairmined casting? Do you know? Is there a Fairmined caster? And you see it on Circle coming up from time to time as well. And I think that there is a lot of power in solving these kinds of issues. We all have things that come up in our businesses, whether it's something really practical, like where am I going to have this cast, to these much larger issues that we're talking about in these 2 days. All of the solutions come in collaboration and in connection. And so this is the group, these Fairmined licensed brands and hopefully aspiring licensed brands who are maybe watching this or hearing about this, who are most interested in these issues and collaborating and working together. The other thing about the challenge, as a very small brand, it's, you want to get your voice out there, you want to have your brand out there, and when you join together like this, you amplify in a way. You amplify the message that you want to send out, you amplify the importance of where your goal is coming from in a way that you could never do as a micro brand on your own.
It's nice to feel a part of a community with like-minded people, and I think you're right, there's more power with that than with a singular voice.
Just being here during the cocktail hour when Nazim and I had a chance to speak to so many of you individually, we were saying that we're very new to the industry, 1 year old in business, not even, and nobody in our family traditionally has been in the jewelry industry. And so being here, hearing so many perspectives, having people openly say what they feel and bringing about challenges, it feels truly like we're part of a community. We felt that when we joined the Fairmined organization, but now that's even further being here. So I think community and connection is everything. It gives purpose to what we're doing, and we're all about that.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I think for us, submitting collections to the Fairmined Challenge showed a lot of weaknesses in our business, of like where we were relying too heavily on other companies, like how easy it was just to get stuff from Stellar or something like that. So it was really helpful to be like, okay, how can we? This is really important. It feels like a tenet of our business. How do we kind of make it a win-win and train and switch the script and the mindset to be like how can we make this more accessible? How can we build on this? So yeah.
Well, you were telling me yesterday that you're now heavily invested in this, and you've taken it one step further, and recently you've acquired 3D printing capabilities, and that's going to be a game changer, and you see your business now scalable. You want to talk a little bit about how that's really going to expand your ability to use Fairmined Gold?
Sure, yes, I will do. So through this process, I realized we weren't making enough in-house, so we acquired local loans to get a printer, or finance a printer, and because we do a lot of custom writing, so I think I was trying to compete with a lot of the big production houses, and it was like, wait, we can never make Fairmined that cheap, but why? But also people aren't asking for that, and I think our clientele at least is mostly custom, so people are willing to pay more for that story, for that knowledge, for that kind of premium product. So we can easily add $4 a gram onto our gold. And also with the price of gold, I feel like it jumps around, $4 a gram easily. So that's why we decided to invest in kind of casting more. And we're partnering with Mercurius to kind of do more like boutique casting basically. So not trying to, I guess, compete with the big names with the big production casting, but try to bring in another avenue, another access point, kind of playing off the accessibility of how to bring more Fairmined Gold to market and for designers and jewelers. And for me, Fairmined Gold is also a stepping stone of just like one label, one option. But I'm all the kind of holistic approach again, like what other initiatives are out there that we can build the stepping stones for and create the supply chains to bring stuff, more things to market and have that process easier so we're not relying on one traditional model that then becomes opaque and you become dependent on it and you can't, it's hard to shift out of that. So. More to come.
Well, and how amazing is this? I mean, tying in with what Alisa said in terms of community, you all heard me here yesterday voicing my frustration about how I want to do the right thing, but when I make a one-up piece, I don't have any options. And thank you for the platform of me being in this room to say, I'm frustrated, I don't know what to do next, I want to do the right thing. And then Will comes up to me at cocktail hour and says, hey, guess what? Thanks for voicing your frustration because I might have a solution for you. We're in the process of making these changes in our business and I could be the one that helps you with that. And I love that we're in this room with all sorts of people at different parts of the supply chain where we can all share our challenges and find solutions. And it's because of this community of people who want to do a better thing. And we heard so much about our business being opaque, but those of us in the room, I think we are using Will's word transparency. Through transparency, we're sharing the things that we're struggling with or having difficulties with, and then voila, all of a sudden a solution pops up. So I like sharing some of the successes we're having and some of the good stories we're having too. We have a long way to go. I'm not trying to say that we've done something, but to me, this feels like it's a success right here. So I thank you all so much for sharing your story. I want to open it up. I don't know how much time we have, Andrea. Do we have time for a question or two, or are we at our end of a lot of time?
No, you have time.
Does anybody have any questions for our panel?
You have time for questions, and they did get, Morgana's the video queued up.
Oh,
We have
okay.
the correct video we could show too. Should we show that since it's just a couple minutes and then do questions?
Okay,
Cool, go ahead, Amy.
This is 79.
Or
Maybe we take a couple questions while. Okay, so let's see. Where's my microphone runners?
We got
And no one's ready.
Here we go.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. But I will take one of those.
I understood that about the impact of it on gold.
1 year after jewelry brands were challenged to learn about the impact of Fairmined gold and choose to use Fairmined precious metals, 127 collections were brought together in the Fairmined 100 Challenge. 97 jewelry brands from 16 countries came together to support a transparent Fairmined supply chain. Brands of all sizes accepted our invitation to use Fairmined responsibly sourced metals. They made gold and silver certified creations sharing the same goal, telling the world that making responsible jewelry with a social impact is possible. These collections using Fairmined gold contribute to a new reality for small-scale mining, each piece representing happiness, love, commitment, family and culture also generates a positive impact somewhere else in the world, supporting a chain where community, empowerment, good mining practices and environmental preservation become part of the story behind every piece of jewelry. Together, we build a better future.
It's just going to be that day.
Hi, my name's Emily. I'm a retailer at a store in Philly. I just wanted to kind of point back to what Will and Alisa and Dave are doing and how incredible it is. Will and Alisa talked about this issue just 9 months ago in Tucson. And I've been a Fairmined license holder since 2016 and can still only say I've probably cast a handful of Fairmined pieces because of how difficult it was to access a successful caster. And it's just so encouraging that in 9 months, the two of you and Dave, found or discovered this issue and made a change so quickly. And it's that energy and that momentum that is like really just helping me, and I think helping a lot of us in this room. I recognize that there aren't as many retailers and designers here this year, and it's just really exciting to see designers and retailers collaborating across the country to make something like this happen. So I just wanted to highlight that again and thank you both for making that happen.
I'm Jay Mogado from Fairmined Jewels, New York. I know you guys personally. I'd like to add on to what Emily highlights and reinforce the idea that in that obscure industry that we've in, Alisa, it can be done. It's not possible. Continue dreaming comes from antiquated traditional leadership in our industry that is slowly dying off. This is the new leadership of the industry. So this is a good case study of what's possible, how quickly, and how effective. Just want to leave it out in the audience for just beyond jewelers out into the greater industry.
It's so true. It's actionable to actually see, and I didn't realize that this was a 9-month journey, and so thank you for sharing that, because it again just really shows, like Christine said, we start with this baby step and then discover that this process isn't as daunting as you think it is, and now all of a sudden you have these pieces in this collection and this challenge, and in many ways sort of changed the scope or direction of your business on top of it. And it's just really promising, and I think it's good for people to see, as you said, a case study, like, okay, I can take this step, I can focus on this thing, and I can make this change, with all of them is really in line with their ethics and what drives their brands.
Just to bring it full circle back to Jay, several years ago in Tucson, we were at a dinner, and I said, oh yeah, I've heard of this ethical metalsmiths, but we're already doing a lot of this stuff, so what is the benefit? Like, what benefits does it offer to become a member of this organization? And Jay said, well, maybe you're doing a lot of this stuff, but the benefit can be what you can offer to the community in what you've already learned. Dave has been a certified green business in California since the early 2000s, first certified green jeweler in the county. And he said, you can offer what you already know to the community and share, collaborate with people. And that really made an impact on me. I don't know if you even remember that discussion, but it made an impact. I went home, joined Ethical Metalsmiths, got very involved. And it's sort of a similar, it's paralleled in this, what's happened with Fairmined is it was an easy transition for us because we did everything in-house, and I wasn't aware that, Dave and I were not aware that there were other jewelers with these issues till we started talking, till we started collaborating, and realized like, oh, okay, the thing that we're doing can be beneficial to our friend Will, who needs this 14-karat rose gold alloy, and we can work to collaborate on that. So to take it even beyond Fairmined, the collaboration and the working together and sharing of information and skills is so valuable. And
thank you for the validation too, because I have imposter syndrome that likes to creep up every once in a while. And I'm trying to use that as like, thank you for that alarm system, buddy. What can I learn from that? But I think a lot of it is also changing, like learning from the old systems, but also not getting stuck in them. And Martin, I appreciate what you shared with switching the value of something, or the mindset of that. Because I think that's what my trap was for most of that 9 months, was like, how are these numbers going to work? We can't compete with Green Strong, we can't compete with a 100-person shop. But then it's like, wait, we're making an alloy with Fairmined silver and gold. No one else has that. You can't buy it anywhere. And so that's the cool part. And then having the systems built in and the personal connection. So switching the script.
Question over here.
Yeah, we have Ray first.
Okay.
Sorry,
Hand
to
raised
do that.
first.
Line jumper.
Obviously. So I'm not in the manufacturing side of the industry, so I'm learning a lot from you all about, what is important and what the challenges are. And what I like to do, though, is create the stories around those and try to, tell more people about them. And so what I am wondering, I guess this is more of a question for Morgana, is what is the process? You've all described it as being, quote unquote, easier than expected. What is this process about, and what makes it so special that they got there?
Well, this is actually a really easy process, like I say. Well, if you want to become a Fairmined licensee, I think the first steps is to know what do you want to do, what is your project, and my team is there to help you with that. There is many ways to start, starting with a collection, starting with an option, starting and go full with Fairmined. You can contact us. I'll be there if you have a question, for example. Just send an email, and then, we just want to know if you are a legal company, and then we will connect you with the different suppliers that we work with. Actually, we have 33 suppliers around the world. Most of them are manufacturers and can offer you a lot of options. So here we have Will, we also have Ted in the room that can also give you some options. Over the years, we have been able to develop new products thanks to our suppliers' chains, findings, and hopefully in the future more things to come. The more we have brands, the more possibility we have also to offer you more options. And really, I mean, then once you know what you want to do, it can be really a question of weeks sometimes to start. And to find, I think the most difficult part maybe is to find the right partner for your projects. For example, the right caster or the right manufacturer. But I'm confident that in this room you have at least 2 people that you could work with, and that could be great options for you. And well, that in terms of cost and everything, I can tell you a little bit more later, but this is really affordable. I mean, the membership is $60 per year, which is nothing. And the main cost, which is not a cost as we discussed yesterday, is the premium that goes to the communities. And I think this is something that well, communities are benefiting, and I'm certain that most of your clients will be happy to contribute to that as well. So please don't hesitate to find me, and we can talk more about your projects. Thank you. And thank you to the panelists. It was amazing, and happy to be here.
One more, right over here. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your stories, everyone. This question is for anyone who wants to address it, but I know, Will, you have specifically said that you made this shift from seeing recycled gold as the ethical option to kind of coming to understand that there's a little more to it than that. So if you could kind of talk about that perspective shift.
I'll start and pass it. Yeah, for me, recycled was what I thought was the easy option without doing research. And the more I did research, the more it's clear that recycled isn't a new thought or anything that created. And it doesn't have any, we as jewelers reclaim and reuse our metal. So recycled doesn't do all that much. And then it also is only part of the chain. So the ethics of it don't really compare like one-to-one, because you don't know where that gold was mined initially, for the gold example. So the more I learned about the stories of the miners and the folks in the mining industry, the more I was like, we need to vote with our dollars to support them, and lift up those voices. And so much recycled gold is, as we learned yesterday, and with all the stories, it's mined informally, it's mined, we just don't know. So how you can put an ethical value on that if you don't know the story behind it. And there's no way to trace it, at least right now. So we want to have a bigger impact and more, direct impact, I guess. And at the same time, my hope is then, when we cast something, we're going to keep it all traceable and separate. And then the next step will be we recycle that in-house. But I don't think it's worth, we don't need to tokenize that recycling. That's just a process we do as a baseline. It's kind of like the sanctions. Recycling is a baseline, it's not an ethical choice.
I will say that in gold and colored gemstones, it's really important to us that the communities of people who are working with the materials at the source benefit from the value of the materials. We all know how much money is at the sales end of the fine jewelry industry, and it is unconscionable. The resource curse, and it is unconscionable that humanity allows us to continue. So if we can make the choice to use gold where the money and the premium is going to the community, that is the obvious choice for us. And I'll say I loved what Martin said yesterday, that why does this have this value? This is the value of this gold, and it's the true cost. It's not that you're paying a premium, you're paying the true cost. And it's our responsibility on the privileged end of the industry to pay the true cost and not have that at somebody else's expense.
For us, when we're thinking about recycled, one of the questions that comes up for me a lot, especially when I see bigger brands talking about recycling as the gold standard, is you have to ask the question, does recycled gold prevent current mining conditions. And I think that the answer to that is no, new gold is still being mined. And so fair mine for us is also the answer to that is if there's more demand in that area, if people are asking more questions about how their gold is mined, that demand will convert more conventional mines to fair mined, right? So that's why, though I think recycling is great, we have to understand, we have to change the way mining is done. And then for recycling that gold, I think that is where I want to be as an industry.
I don't think we have time for any more questions. I'm so sorry. Maybe we can meet offline out of the room. I just wanted to summarize by first thanking these really talented panelists that I have here. And I think it's a great takeaway for all of us, no matter where we are in the supply chain, to see that it's possible to identify one thing that we think we could maybe do, not only for our own betterment and in line with our ethos, but obviously for a greater community, and take that first baby step and see where it leads us. And it's obviously led you all to some pretty great places, and I find that really inspiring. And thank you so much for sharing your stories with us today. Thank you.